Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nenna Aragwa and our top stories tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. And our first story this night, President Muhammadu Buhari has reiterated his opposition to the devaluation of the Naira. In a statement today, the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says the President made his known while contributing to a presidential panel roundtable on investment and growth opportunities at the opening of the Africa 2016 Business for Africa, Egypt and the World at Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. President Buhari says Nigeria cannot afford to devalue its currency because the country imports everything, including toothpicks. He maintained that those who have developed taste for foreign luxury goods should continue to pay for them rather than pressure government to devalue the Naira. The President disclosed that the priority of his administration is to ensure national food security before export of food products and to also focus on agriculture and solid minerals development. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has refuted a claim that the 2016 budget was padded. Addressing journalists today in Lagos, Lai Mohammed says 2016 budget was not padded because the total figure voted for all ministries had not exceeded 6.8 trillion naira. He said it is factually incorrect to say that the budget was padded, pointing out that this is the first time in the history of the country that a government will embark on what is called zero-based budget. The minister further disclosed that exports, balance of trade, gross domestic products are responsible for currency appreciation and depreciation. Residents of Benue South Senatorial Zone have been charged to eschew violence and any other malpractices. This is even as the people trooped out to cast their votes in a rerun election to choose who represents them at the red chambers. Calls have been made for them to hear the report as filed in by our correspondent who is monitoring the rerun election from Otukpo. We'll bring you that particular report in our subsequent bulletin. Lagos State Police Command has declared war against gangsterism and street fighting while reiterating its reserve to stamp out corruption within the force. The Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owoshen, is speaking with newsmen, decried the increased level of gangsterism in the state, while appreciating the peaceful atmosphere during the Lagos Marathon race and the visit of the German president. He also appealed to residents to allow its men's entry as they attempt to speedily respond to distress calls. Our correspondent, Sarah Yeku, has more in this report.
The Lagos State Police Command has continued the bid to intimate residents of his activities, especially as it relates to security of lives and property. The Lagos Commissioner of Police, Fatai Owoshen, disclosed that his men have been able to reduce the rate of crime in the state.
A lot of things have happened in the command, but I can safely say that with regards to crime and with regards to public safety and security in Lagos State, I think we are not doing badly.
The Commissioner of Police urged members of the public not to be reluctant in sharing information and cooperate with the force.
In our continued effort to enforce the law on restriction of the motorcycles to the rules that they are supposed to apply, 651 motorcycles were impounded for contravening the restriction on motorcycles to certain routes. And the 651 motorcycles have been handed to the Lagos State Environmental Task Force for further action.
Owasheni also spoke about ongoing efforts to deal with corruption and excesses within its rank and file.
I've had the pronouncement made by His Excellency the Executive Governor of Lagos State that the police and the security agencies in Lagos will not allow any impunity, will not condone any impunity. We will continue to use appropriate force to deal with anyone that commits crime or that think that they can take people for granted in Lagos.
While the police force strategically rebrands itself, Nigerians are enjoined to support efforts to fight crime in the country in order to reduce it to the barest level. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says for the power sector to truly deliver on its immense potentials to Nigerians, all stakeholders in the sector must work together. The minister, in his admonition to the various links in the chain, says without a synergy, unexpected issues will always come up to stunt progress in the sector. Our correspondent Kazim Kasali, who is on the fact-finding tour with the minister, has more in his reports.
The first port of call is the Dogongeri 332/132 kVA injection substation in Kanji, New Busa in Niger State. At the station, in his interaction with the engineer from the Transmission Company of Nigeria, the minister says the sector needs procurement to be done as a whole, not piecemeal as is currently being done. At the next point, the famous Kanji hydropower station. These arguments ensued on the competence of each link in the power chain, with the engineer from Transmission Company of Nigeria and the concessionaire both in a no-holds-barred encounter.
Fine and good, Madam Minister, we have concern, but that line is not until 2 lines can peak up to 750 megawatts if power needs is made available. We are provided for the bus coupler is there. So what are you telling me? Protection is there. We are provided protection of this, and 2 lines can take like left, right now. We are provided an alternative.
Yes, but the fact is that this.
So what are you talking? Is so right now you are picking only 440. You are picking only 340 megawatts.
No,
that's what you are generating.
Yes,
And what I'm assuring the Honourable Minister right now.
The loss of one of the lines. Now we are left with only one line, K2J, and even that line. There are about 4 cycles there. And if something happens anytime, definitely cut. The one by the right, K1J, is completely out. There are 2 lines, again, it's a sufficient problem.
K1J, sir.
For his part, the minister says the synergy between the various stakeholders is not good enough, urging them to do more to move the sector forward.
You can restore the line that is faulty. If you agree that something is wrong, as you seem to do, then let us go and fix what is wrong. Perhaps in the interim, your plan was to provide the same service in a manner that probably suggests that they are not comfortable with the level of safety. I can't determine that.
He also took time to see trainees at the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria. He says the federal government will continue to provide the enabling environment for the growth of the sector. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Kenji.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, NSC, in collaboration with the Inland Containers Nigeria Limited, said frequent congestion at seaports led to loss, carnage and accidents of cargo in transit on land mode. So said at a one-day seminar towards the successful takeoff of the Kaduna inland dry ports. The seminar was titled The Emergence of Inland Dry Ports in Promoting International Trade and Enhancing Hinterland Shipping. The seminar brought together relevant stakeholders who brainstormed to see to the actualization of the Kaduna Inland Dry Ports. Our correspondent has details of the story.
In his address, the Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amechi, lauded the Nigeria Shippers Council for promoting dry port and truck transit park in Kaduna State and across the country. Amechi says the project will provide stimulus to the economy of the state and the country at large. The minister maintains that the dry port and truck transit park project were conceived as part of solution to the problem of hinterland shippers' inadequate access to seaports and frequent congestion. He says it is pertinent to note that for these and similar projects to succeed, there must be an administrative as well as operational collaboration with the stakeholders, adding that the Nigerian Shippers Council is already collaborating with Nigerian Railway Corporation, Nigerian Port Authority and the Nigerian Customs Service to ensure that it succeeds.
It is a common knowledge that Kaduna is close to a sizable number of textile and agro-allied industries, a motor assembly plant, among others, and therefore a most suited location for the inland dry depot project. This project will greatly provide stimulus to the economy of the state and country at large. This is because all operators, including the Nigerian Customs Service and other service providers, will necessarily patronize local trades at the port.
Earlier in his welcome speech, the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Shippers Council, Hassan Bello, commended the Kaduna State government for its activities in the successful upgrading and gazetting of the bonded terminal to inland dry port with full status of port of origin and final destination. He says this laudable achievement came within 1 year of the current administration. The NSC is confident that all effort will be made to support the federal government in actualizing the benefits of the project to the business community in the state and its environs. Hassan Bello also commends the effort of the state government for providing the infrastructure in the port and also providing a safe and secure environment for the business to operate. The Inland Container Depot and TTP project were both conceived to facilitate efficient cargo delivery to our hinterland importers and exporters, provide access to port services, provide employment opportunities, and increase revenue generation to the state.
This laudable achievement came within 1 year of the current administration, and we have confidence that all efforts will be made to support the federal government in actualizing the benefits of the project to the business community in the state and its environs. We complement the effort of the state government for providing the infrastructure in the port, the dual carriage road, electricity, water, and also providing safe and secure environment for the business to operate.
It will interest the participant to note that the federal government inland dry port project was conceived as part of government's reform program in the transport sector designed to decongest the seaport and bring shipping and port services closer to importers and exporters in the hinterland. He reiterates that the concept will boost export activities through production of cash crops, thereby revitalizing the agricultural sector and consequently reduce the overdependence on oil. Declaring the seminar open, Kaduna State Governor expresses gratitude to the NSC for the role it's played in recommending to the federal government the need to establish inland dry port in Kaduna and the promotion of truck transit park. Governor El Rufai, who was represented by his deputy, Barnabas Bantek, says Kaduna State is open for business and intends to do its best to support the inland container depot by providing the enabling environment for the project to succeed.
It is coming at this period of falling oil revenues and increasing unemployment. The port is an important component of the international logistic chain, and its performance to a very large extent determines the competitiveness of a nation on the international market. Kaduna State promises to leverage on its proximity to Abuja.
Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano says he has been able to achieve his vision for the state in less than 2 years. Governor Obiano disclosed this while presenting a scorecard of 23 months of governance to the indigenous people of Anambra residents in Lagos. He announced that aside giving everybody a sense of belonging in the state, he achieved this vision and mission for Anambra State through proactive commitment in the areas of agriculture, trade, commerce, oil, gas and industrialization, with security as a major enabler. The governor appealed for support of administration from Anambra citizens abroad and enjoined them to come home and partner the state government to lead the state to an enviable height of developments. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break now, return with more stories. Just stay with us.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
Glad to have you back at still CoreTV Primetime News. A quick recap of our top stars. For more about news stories and information, join us on the social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Liver Space News. A strange illness identified as febrile rash illness by health officials has killed scores of children in a community at Etiosa local government area of Lagos State. Although the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Jide Idris, at a press briefing on Friday, put the death toll at about 25. A visit by CoreTV to the Todo Gbame community, predominantly occupied by the Eagles, revealed that the number of victims are way higher. Although efforts to speak with the community leader was not successful, an elderly resident who spoke off camera opened up on the outbreak, disclosed that the disease indeed claimed its first victim in December last year. According to him, babies who contract the illness are said to develop symptoms associated with measles, which include high fever, rashes, and boils, and usually die within 5 days. He also noted that 63 babies have died between December 2015 and now, while also calling for a more urgent intervention by the Lagos State government to help the Todo Gbame community stop the spread of the strange illness. We now move on to Kogi State, where the Ministry of Health says the state has not had any new case of poliovirus in the past 6 years. The health educator Blessing Ame attributed the success story to routine polio immunization exercises, pointing out that the first round of exercise this year will hold between February 27 and March 1. Ame, however, noted that more efforts were still needed to protect the children from reinfection. Osun State government says if the striking doctors in the state continue to remain unyielding, it will be left with no other option than to apply the civil service rule of no work, no pay, adding that it has become expedient to restore sanity to the health sector. The chairman of the Special Committee on Health, Dr. Simeon Afolayan, while speaking at Oshogbo, the Osun State capital, says the government has been pushed to the wall, having exhausted all possible means of resolving the crisis. Afolayan noted that the civil service regulations stipulate the workers who have sent themselves from work beyond a certain limit are deemed to have resigned their appointment. He stressed that the doctors have abandoned their duty post for about 11 months, and government cannot be seen to promote lawlessness by a group of individuals. Afolayan appealed to the doctors to reason with the Osun State government, especially at this period when the nation is facing financial challenges. He urged them to return to work if they still desire to keep their jobs. Responding to the developments, the president of the Association of Resident Doctors at the Ladoke Akintola University of Technology Teaching Hospital, Adeyinka Owolabi, clarified the doctors did not abandon their duties for 11 months as alleged by the state government. Owolabi disclosed that the strike only commenced in September 2015, and the reason is the demand for their pay. He said the doctors are, however, ready for formal negotiations if the state government is ready to dialogue. If you ever wondered what can be done about the reading culture of Nigerians, well, a gathering in Abuja, the nation's capital, seems to have found the winning formula to move the nation back in the direction which they believe it should take. Our correspondent Kazim Kasali has more in this report.
For many Nigerians, going back to the past to revive the nation's reading culture is a way of ensuring that we have a better tomorrow. And for this gathering, the music is just a way of going back to the past and reviving the nation's reading culture. Speaker of the House of Representatives, represented by a member of the House, says the need to revive the reading culture in Nigeria cannot be overemphasized. A sentiment shared by another member of the House.
People of my generation, the aspect of the social media mostly are pornography and other things that are not beneficial to the society. If you have people of my generation writing books, particularly if you hear that the topic is balancing extremes of life, I think it's a very good and a very good title. Given the kind of extremism, I've not gone through the book, but we need to balance the extremes of life, or else we find ourselves being called extremists, what have you. I think that should actually be avoided. Thank you for that.
Well, actually, no matter how the crime is, I would never join anybody to recommend capital punishment, for any sin, any crime in this nation. I want to join everybody, I want to enjoin everybody in Nigeria to support this present administration in fighting corruption, so that corruption will not come back to fight every one of us.
The need to revive the reading culture, according to a former Director General of the Nigerian Law School, is important, but Nigerians must also be literate. But for the chairman, Senate Committee on Education, and this author, it's a platform for the germination of ideas that will aid the nation's fight against its extremes.
You must strike a course to make the educational sector working and workable. Because if we've been having a lot of policies and trying this policy and the other policy, and if it is not working, then something is wrong somewhere. The educational system in Nigeria obviously is in dire need of help.
A lot of devices you can have. There are Kindles, different devices you can have books on that you can listen to. And at times you may not want to read, but you are about to sleep. You can use your audio book to listen, and also you can some of the books come in different formats. They can be in your iPad, they can be on your phone, anywhere you carry them along. You may not be carrying book, but you are always reading. So the reading culture has changed.
For the people gathered in this hall, they see these events as a catalyst to bring back what many refer to as the lost reading culture of this nation. And as the saying goes, if you want to develop a nation, you develop the youth. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Kano State is well on its way to being one of the destination points in Nigeria, if the words of the state governor Abdullahi Ganduje is anything to go by. He has been interacting with newsmen in Abuja and what his government has been doing to better the lot of Nigerians and foreigners living there. Our correspondent Jamila Fegwa brings us excerpts of that interaction.
Kano State is the commercial capital of the north and home to Nigerians from different parts of the country. A state like this needs money to run the various amenities required by the people. To do this, the state government says it is taking a drastic step.
I reduced the ministries from 19 to 14. I slashed the salaries and the allowances of political office holders by half. So by simple arithmetic, you know that cost is being reduced. And also, we follow due process. I established a due process bureau. All our contracts are being publicized.
One problem deterring visitors from Kano these days is the insecurity. Kano, until recently, when government is winning the war against insurgency, was a target for Boko Haram terrorists. But the state government is on top of the situation.
The situation we find ourselves, I think there's no better time to have state police than now. Because you need the security at the moment involves a lot of intelligence information. It involves people who are conversant with the society, who are conversant with the tradition, who are conversant with the culture. They are in a better position to assist in terms of surveillance, in terms of collecting information, and in terms of being effective.
In a move that seemed like pacifying the north, the administration of Goodluck Jonathan introduced the Almajiri school system where street urchins are tutored. The governor is also throwing the system out.
If you create an Almajiri school, that is abnormal. Because who would like to be tagged as Almajiri? You mean after completing then your certificate will read Almajiri school? And then later in life will be called you are a graduate of Almajiri school. That means you are Almajiri before. So it has some social problems. What we are adopting is integration. The Almajiris are integrated into the normal school system. And from our investigation, most of the Almajiris in Kano came from other parts of the northern states.
Now that the country is seeking ways of diversifying its economy, Kano State is following suit. The state is beefing up on its hide and skin industry as one strategy on improving its revenue.
Hides and skin, that is very, very economic activity, is an important economic activity in Kano. In fact, we have the highest number of industries on hides and skin. I have met with the stakeholders. What we have agreed is for the establishment of a modern abattoir in Kano, so that we kill so many birds with one stone.
It is possible that Kano in a few years' time may return to its glory, but like the governor says, there's still work to do. Jamila Fegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Away from education, the Consumer Advocacy Foundation of Nigeria, CAFON, has called on Nigerians to declare March 1, 2016 No Banking Day to protest excessive bank charges. Organizers of the boycott seem to be winning the hearts of Nigerians as the campaign intensifies against central bank directive to commercial banks to deduct charges from some transactions. Our correspondent Victoria Solomon fathered this report presented from our studios.
Most Nigerians, both high and low, and from every walks of life, operate one or more bank accounts. Some are even account holders with different banks. Not only are they to cope with queues in the banking halls, ATM as well as POS points, They have in recent weeks borne with bank charges ranging from stamp duty, maintenance fee, and more. Nigerians are, however, not taking this new central bank's directive, lying low, if indications by Okwe Banwo, the founder of Change Vigilante Organization of Nigeria, is anything to go by.
The support has been tremendous. We just hope that Nigerians take it beyond just saying, oh, I support no banking. They take it beyond just liking that post on Facebook. They actually resolve that on the 1st of March, we are not going to do banking. They're not going to die. Nothing's going to happen if you don't do banking on that day, so that we can set the precedent. And guess what? The banks stand to lose 848 billion divided by 365.
Adetoyese Alabi, an accountant, however, says the planned boycott of banks by Nigerians on March 1st, 2016 has no basis and holds no prospect for achieving much impact, adding that the rich does not feel the impact of the deductions, hence likely not to lend any support to the protest.
The consumer protection they are basically for people like us. They are not for the Dangotes of our world. They are not for $10 of our world. They are not for GDR regions of our world. Those people, they can never boycott banking on that very day. That is number one. Then number two, what is the level of disseminating of this information? People in Maduguri, do you think they are aware of what the consumer protection wants to do? People in Osun State, in Elobu, where I come from, do you think they are aware of what the consumer protection wants to do? So they need enough information. This is not something you can just be doing in your room. You need to sensitize people.
Banwo, however, strongly believes in the power of Nigerians to resist what he calls unfair and unjust policies.
But if getting a bankrupt one is what is going to solve this problem, then that is what is going to happen. So if they don't listen to us, if they don't see that Nigerians are really upset about what is going on, standardize these things for us, make it clear why they are charging us, we will pick on one bank.
It is hoped that the CBN, banks, and all stakeholders will find a meeting point and avoid anything that will impact negatively on the nation's dwindling economy.
Still to come on CoreTV Primetime News, Uganda's incumbent president gets a 5th term in office. Bigger details of this and more stories in the foreign scene and sports after this break. Just stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Glad to have you back on the foreign scene. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has extended his 30-year rule after taking a strong lead in the general election disputed by rivals. With about half the votes counted today, the incumbent candidate has 60% of votes to leading challenger Kizza Besigye's 35%. The vote has been marked by allegations of ballot fraud and multiple arrests of opposition activists, including Besigye. Besigye has been arrested 4 times since the day of election. The opposition candidate is currently detained at his house in the capital, Kampala. Meanwhile, Besigye has denied the result of today. South Africa has confirmed its first case of the mosquito-borne Zika virus. The Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says the virus, which is causing international alarm after spreading through much of the Americas, was detected in a man on his visit to Johannesburg. He disclosed that the businessman, who was presented with fever and a rash approximately 4 days after arrival in South Africa, has fully recovered. It will be recalled that the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a global public health emergency on February 1, noted its association with 2 neurological disorders, microcephaly in babies and Guillain-Barré syndrome that can cause paralysis. UK's Prime Minister David Cameron says Britain will hold a historic referendum on June 23 to determine if it would stay in the European Union. After a rare cabinet meeting today in London, the UK Prime Minister said his ministers supported his goal of keeping Britain inside the 28-nation bloc. He said Britain would be safer and stronger inside a reformed EU, adding that the deal which it reached with the other EU nations would give Britain special status in the bloc. Britain is already the EU's most semi-detached member, having opted out of joining the Euro single currency, the Schengen zone of passport-free travel, and many areas of police and judicial cooperation. We now move on to Syria, where a number of opposition groups have declared that they agree to the possibility of a temporary truce if the Syrian government and its allies respect several conditions, including halt and fire. The groups today said they would agree provided there were guarantees that the Syrian government forces and its allies would respect a ceasefire, lift sieges and aid deliveries permitted across the country. The announcement comes as fighting continues on the ground despite Friday's deadline for cessation of hostilities. Russian fighter jets are repeatedly striking rebel targets, particularly in Aleppo, backing government forces as they push towards Syria's second city. Meanwhile, Western powers have rejected a proposed UN resolution drawn up by Russia and demanded the immediate halt of cross-border shelling by the Turkish army into Syria. The Russian draft presented at an Emergency Security Council meeting sought to seize any action that undermines Syria's sovereignty. France's UN ambassador, François Delattre, said the current military escalation is a direct result of the brutal offensive in the north of Syria led by the Syrian regime and its allies. The French UN representative says Russia must understand that its support for Syria's president Bashar al-Assad is a dead end that could be extremely dangerous. On her part, the U.S. ambassador Samantha Power called the Russian draft a distraction, while urging Moscow to implement a resolution adopted unanimously by the Security Council, which endorsed a peace plan for Syria that includes a cessation of hostilities and negotiations between the Assad government and opposition. We now move on to sports.
Our style, and that's what he delivered.
The League Management Company of Nigeria has approved a change of name for Dolphins Football Club to Rivers United Football Club. The approval, which provides that the club can comply with relevant rules dealing with specific sections of the framework and rules for change of name, was granted following an application for change of name endorsed by the Rivers State government. Owners of the club, through the office of the Commissioner for Sports, a letter of approval by the LMC requires Dolphins to comply with requirements for the personnel and administrative criteria of the club licensing regulations, as well as the league rules to submit the club management structure by submitting the CVs, employment contracts or appointment letters, copies of relevant certificates of all personnel. Dolphins have been directed to, in line with the change, notify the LMC when the change of name is effected, in line with the national company legislation for the implementation of the necessary changes, the LMC records and publications. The chairman of the Nigeria Football Federation Technical Committee, Chris Green, has challenged Emmanuel Amunike to win the FIFA Under-20 World Cup with the Flying Eagles in order to land the Super Eagles job. Green notes that Amunike has been taken up to the Under-20s with his boys after winning the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Green is confident that the ex-Barcelona winger could take a strong claim for the Super Eagles job if he succeeded the Flying Eagles come 2017. Nigeria is yet to win the FIFA Under-20 World Cup despite coming close in 1989 and 2005. And finally, Arsenal Football Club has recorded a goalless draw against Hull City in the FA Cup last 16 weekend. The early game played today saw players from both sides try endlessly to outwit one another. With an additional 4 minutes, the Gunners and their counterparts failed to hit the ball into either nets. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News. But before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Thank you so very much for staying with us tonight. I am Nena Oragwe. Do have a beautiful night's rest.